Now this month, historical romances, I was eating them up. The spice was spicing in this book. What more can you ask for? What's up, babes? We are back with another reading wrap up. It was audiobooks back to back. So 20 books in total for this reading wrap up. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail on each book because if I do, I'm gonna be here all day. Let's talk about the first book, Proposal They Can't Refuse. And this book was following Mia, I feel like I'm saying her name wrong, and Liam. They both own restaurants like next door to each other. Their families are like friends, so they're all close, and their grandparents are best friends, so they get them to pretend to be engaged so that they can get ownership of the restaurants. And they were like childhood best friends, and they fell off, and then like their grandparents forced them to get into a fake engagement. Okay, so the next one is Mr. Perfect on Paper, and this one is following Daria and Chris. And Daria is like a dating app owner, and she's Jewish, and she's looking for like her perfect match. She has anxiety, so you have to see like how she deals with that and handles that. Chris is a TV show broadcaster, is that what it's called? He's a single parent. They meet on the show, so she was talking about her dating app, and then her grandma basically like tells the whole world like everything that she has on her Mr. Perfect list. So then she gets a like TV show off of that. One of the main things on her perfect man list is that he has to be Jewish. And I said I'm not trying to explain too much, and I'm explaining to him. Is grumpy as puck. And I only read this book because it was like $1. I rated it 2 stars. But yeah, Mr. Perfect on Paper was 3 stars, and Proposal They Can't Refuse was 4 stars for me. But grumpy as puck was, it just was not it for me. It's a small town romance. Yeah, I don't remember their name. In certain parts I was just like, why am I still reading this book? I should have DNF'd it, and I didn't. And he's a hockey player, and he's like one of the oldest people on the hockey team, and she's a veterinarian. Her boyfriend, she caught her boyfriend cheating on her, and she was basically like a pushover because like her boyfriend cheated on her, and she continued to let that man live in her apartment while she was like jumping from place to place while she was the one paying rent and taking care of that man. Walked in on him cheating on her. If that was me, I wouldn't be paying all his bills in the first place. But you know, to each their own. Okay, the next one was the audiobook, The Traitor Queen. I read the first book I listened to the first book a while ago. This is the second book in the Bridge Kingdom series. So The Traitor Queen is following Aaron and Laura, and Laura ends up getting Aaron kidnapped. He's like a king of a kingdom, and basically she helps her father get him kidnapped, but it was like an accident. She needed to do it because she started falling in love with him in the first book, but the papers got sent out by accident. And this book is like they're at war, and she's like a really skilled fighter. So I read this one 4 stars. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I read the second book in the Divine Mess series by Tessa Bailey, Unfortunately Yours. I like this one a lot better than like the first one. I Natalie and August. This is a marriage of convenience, and you know I love a good marriage of convenience. Marriage of Convenience does it for me. I don't know what it is about a marriage of convenience, but I love them. So this one I rated 4 stars. She recently had to move back home because she got laid off from her job. Her family owns a winery. In order to get her inheritance to like start her finance company, she needs to marry. So she ends up marrying August. They hated each other at the beginning, so it's kind of just like enemies to lovers. Okay, so next one, claiming my kick on historical romances on Bridgerton. I watched Queen Charlotte, and I finished that in like a day. Then I started watching both of the Bridgerton. Absolutely loved it. And then of course went on Audible, and I saw that they had the Viscount Who Loved Me, the second book in the Bridgerton series. So of course I had to listen to it. So I rated that one 4 stars. I liked it. The book has more details that the show left off, and that's always the case, but I like the cast in the show better than I like the characters in the book. From Thailand with Love. This is the 5th book in the First Come Love series. This one is really interesting. I rated 3 stars, or like 3.75. It was a quick read. It's following Winter and Logan. Winter is a photographer, and Logan is I can't say it. He's trying to uncover this treasure and like this old, like he's trying to find the tomb, and like they don't get off on but at the beginning, so like any lovers, when they discover the treasure or whatever, it's only 2 people, and then like the guy that's supposed to be like their bodyguard to save them from the animals takes the treasure, he locks them in there, locks them in the tube, so they find their way back to their friends. So like the whole book is just them in the jungle fighting for a while. I liked it because like I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It was corny, yes, but it was good. The next book, I actually reread this one, hands down, by Maria Zapata. Now if you know, you know Maria Zapata. I absolutely love every single one of her books I read, and I think I've read all of them myself, like 2. Following Zach, Travis, and Bianca. They grew up together and they were like childhood best friends, and then they fell off and they reconnected like a couple years later, and they're like found their way back to each other. It's a slow burn, you know. Maria Zapata, queen of slow burn. Zach is a football player and Bianca is a influencer. Yeah, like she has her own cooking YouTube channel. And Zach is just like this loving golden retriever. So it's a good book. I offer from a gentleman. This is the 3rd book in the Bridgerton series, and this one is following Benedict and Sophie. It's kind of like a Cinderella retelling. Sophie's dad was an earl, but he did not claim her. Her dad died, her stepmom, but Sophie's stepmom absolutely hated her. The stepsister hated her. Stepmom has her like working as a servant and taking all of her money that she gets from letting Sophie live with them, and then after she ends up working as a servant, meet each other because Sophie sneaked out of the house, and they have one night together, and then he keeps looking for her for all these years. You get the vibes. Like, you know, if you watch Cinderella, you know what I'm talking about. Rated 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite. Sophie was doing too much, and I was just like, girl, he obviously doesn't care. Just marry the man. Like, she was like, you can't marry me because I'm a servant, blah, blah. I'm like, girl, if this man say he want to marry you, just let it happen. But no, because he was pissing me off because he kept trying to make her his mistress, and I'm like, bro, if she said no once, twice, why did you ask her? The next book was The Natural, the YA criminal minds type book. I really enjoyed this book. I rated 4 stars. It's all on Cassie, and she gets put into a FBI program that are like natural at like doing what the FBI team does. So they had to like work on couple cases. There's a serial killer targeting cat, a love triangle in the same time next year. This one is a really short book. I rated it definitely 3 stars. Sam and Wyatt, childhood to lovers, second chance. And they haven't seen each other for years, and their parents have beach houses right next to each other. When she comes back with her fiance, and that just happens to be the same summer that he comes back into town. Okay, the next one is To Hate Adam Connor. Lucy and Adam. Lucy is staying with Olive, and their next door neighbor is Adam Connor. He is an actor, spying on him over a wall, being his nanny for like a little while. He's a single parent. I enjoyed the aspect. The bond that Lucy has with the kid is really cute. I think 5% of the book, and I was just like, okay, I'm tired of her. I really like Adam. So next book is a historical romance. It's simply unforgettable. Okay, so I rated it 4 stars. It's following Lucius. I can't say his name. And Francis. She is a school teacher. He's a Viscount. When they back to town, her carriage crashes into his carriage, where they crash into each other, and then they have to end up staying at an inn together. But she leaves him and he goes back to her school, and he goes to his grandfather. Then they end up like bumping each other, and they keep bumping into each other constantly. About like 80% of a book, and she kept saying no and turning him down. I was over it, because how many times this man gotta tell you to marry him before you just marry him? Like, and then her reason for saying no that many times was so stupid. I'm like, girl, like, it was dragged. The next one is The Proposal, and this is a part of the series. It's called the Survivors Club series. It's on Gwen and Hugo, and he's a lord and she's a lady. He got his title from the war. She's a widow, and she's basically just like visiting family all the time. Hugo, once a year, he meets up with his friends from war to talk about life and stuff like that, to catch up. And she ends up walking in front of the house, and she twists her ankle, and he ends up carrying her back to the house. So it's works proximity, and he's always taking her out. Okay, so I started the Bigman series, Slightly Married. I really like this one. This one is following Aiden and Eve, the military man, and one of his soldiers dies, and he makes a promise to tell the soldier's sister and take care of her. So he ends up marrying her house and keep like all her servants and workers in the house, because she like just like this big kind person. She takes in like all the servants and workers that like no one else wants. The Bedouin series is a good historical romance series. I liked it enough to read the second one, which is Slightly Wicked. So this one's following Rothrick, I can't say that, Roth and Judith, and who's traveling. Her stagecoach gets overturned, ends up passing the stagecoach and sees her. They end up staying together, and if they stay together, she basically like lies about who she is. She was with her aunt, and then he goes to visit his grandmother, and his grandmother's trying to get him to court her cousin, and she's staying in a house as basically like a ward. So the next one was Practice Makes Perfect. I enjoyed this one. This one was Alltime Romance. It's following Will and Annie. She's a flower shop owner and like a super introverted girl, baby of the family, and he is the bodyguard and about to be soon to be sister-in-law. He needs help getting into dating. He's like serial dater. He's really good at dating, and he ends up helping her learn how to like go on dates. As an introvert person, I can really relate to her just like instantly being comfortable with him. This means that they have like a really good bond if she can just like instantly be comfortable around them. I mean, I liked it. He's a tattooed bodyguard. He took care of her while he was sick. He listens to her ramble. They banter back and forth, and he's like a go with the flow adventurous type man. Like, what work you ask for? Any smart girl? I don't know how I went from historical romances to dark romances, but I did. So the next one was Perfect Villain, and this one's a duet. I didn't get to the second book. I rated this 3 stars. The book, I can't remember her name, but his name's Christian. She gets promised to marry Christian a long time ago, and she escaped from Italy and been on the run ever since. And Christian has been stalking her for forever. Ends up like becoming a part of her life. And for someone that was on the run for so long, I don't understand how she didn't connect the dots when stuff started going downhill when this man popped up. But okay, you didn't put 2 and 2 together, girl. Before she even got with Christian, her boyfriend, she should have broke up her boyfriend. She kept putting out bringing her boyfriend. I'm like, girl, this man obviously does not care about you. Why are you still trying to be with him? She didn't even like him. There's a lot going on. I mean, it's a mafia romance about a stalker. Then I read the 3rd book in Bedouin, Slightly Yet Scandalous. This one is following Freya and Joshua. Freya is the oldest Bedouin sister, and she's basically like jaded when it comes to love. So she's 25, she's unmarried. You know how it is like back in the day, high society or whatever. And Joshua's like this playboy. He's like really handsome, act like he's the most eligible bachelor at the time. And Freya is like this fierce, says what she needs, says what she wants to do. And I really like her. Like, she was fierce, she was witty, she was just giving what she needed to give. Plus it's been 3 times in the nose, I think it was 3 times she punched him. And then they end up faking an engagement to get him out of marrying his cousin, and she says yes just to say yes because like she thought it was gonna be fun. This one has a lot of drama. I liked it. I think I rated this one 4.5 stars. Did give what need to give. Okay, so the last book was Hunting Adeline. Now this book, Hunting Adeline, girl, the spice was spicing in this book. I was not disappointed. This is a dark romance. Like, girl, you don't let him do you like that? But you know, at least she was fighting back most of the time. At least he was a fine stalker. I mean, with money, you know. The last book I read this month. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.